Are you looking for a different kind of podcast? How about informative and clean? It will make you laugh. Scout and Trey, yeah, that's what we do. We got a little funny thing, keeping it true. Hey, we take your topics and all your ideas and bring in a guest and we answer them there. Then we make a freestyle rap and do it for you. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, that's what we do. Yep, flows for you, flows for you. This is what we do now. This is what we do. Say it flows for you, flows for you. This is what we do now. This is what we do. Say it flows for you, flows for you. This is what we do now. This is what we do. Say it flows for you, flows for you.
Hey guys, and welcome to the show. I hope you're having a great day, and welcome to Flows for You. It is your friend Scout. What is up? How are y'all doing? And I have a full fun guest today. How you doing, Neil?
Jason, what's happening, brother?
I'm good. I'm trying not to lose it, and I am breathing. I'm back in my home, and it's nice. Oh, and my also my mother was in town for a few days, and so I came back to a reorganized house, which was a good thing. So I think.
Unless you're looking for stuff that you can't find, huh?
Yeah, I have kids, and so in general, like, there's always a chance that I'm not going to find things anyways. But you know, it's fine. It's wonderful. I mean, it's way more organized than it's been. So I am not mad at all. He replies in a weird sounding voice. But I don't know. I'm just glad to be. As I said, I think I told you this earlier. I've been working for the last few weeks, and so you know, I don't know if working at a festival really counts as working.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Jason. It's like, oh, working, teaching kids how to rap. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
You got to work with kids though. That's not easy.
yeah, and the rest. I mean, what I actually work for like 2 hours every day, and then the rest of the time I'm either sitting around signing people up or I'm going to see concerts. So it's really, I mean, it's really not a lot of actual labor. I mean, I probably spend more time walking to and fro than I do actually performing, but it's still pretty cool. So,
all good. All right.
But yeah, no. Again, can't be mad about what I get to do. So, that somehow somebody's decided, hey, I'll pay you to do a thing you already do by yourself, and are just chilling all the time. So, can't be mad. He replies in a weird song. If you notice, I'm stalling one more time. Add this real quick. One more second. Excuse me. But anyways, so as I stall out. Where are you at, buddy? Show me where you are. Flows for you. Okay.
All right. So why don't I go ahead and tell your audiences that right back here, there is Larry Bird, Bill Walton, and Dennis Johnson.
That is pretty awesome.
Then right in the smack dab in the middle, you've got Man in the Arena by Teddy Roosevelt.
Nice.
Great little ditty. And there's my, it's over here. I'm pointing it, so it should be on the other side. So I got to go this way. There is my degree that took me 8 years to get.
Wow. And that you don't use at all.
No, God, no. I'll tell you, I used the process I used to get through it. I mean, when I finally figured out school, it was just the simple process that I put together, much like I talk about in my book. And it's, you show up, you take notes, you answer questions, you participate, right? You go to the hours, the post, the office hours. You do extra work. It sounds like sales, doesn't it?
It sounds just like sales.
Oh, there it is. There's part of the philosophy, my friend. The breakthrough philosophy. All your listeners are going to hear tonight, and then you're going to rap about it.
Yep, then I'm going to rap about it. What was it? Yeah, no. The reason I make that joke is that my wife has a master's degree, and she definitely does not use her what it says on her paper. And so, but she does. You know, she works and does all this stuff, and she's happy with what she does. But it makes me laugh because I'm like, you think you know what you're gonna do, and then it ends up being something totally different. But it's cool that you're saying like the idea is that whole philosophy is the part that really does it, and so that's pretty cool.
Process.
The process, the process of the philosophy. I don't know. I'm trying to get the names going, and my brain's is not working right now.
Right.
So I am stalling as I go.
Fire away, my friend. What are we doing here?
So,
Here
all
we go.
right. So, what we're gonna do is me and you are gonna make up a song, and we're gonna talk about all this stuff. And so, what would be a silly song that you would want to do? What would you want it to be about? Do you want it to be about bars, working behind a bar, and then becoming a fancy salesman? Do you
I
want it
think
to
that
be
would be.
about
I think that would be
pickles?
appropriate, my friend.
I love it. Let's we'll have to ask you more questions. So, what is the without like a full interview, but in general, like what was something that you learned just in general, like behind a bar? Like what was one of your there you go. What was one of your favorite things about being a bartender?
Serving people.
Serving people.
I
That's cool.
got
Was
the,
it
the immediate feedback that you get from serving somebody.
wow.
Usually positive if you're doing it right. It can be negative, which it also prepares you for other things in sales. But yeah, it's that's the jam. That's the aha moment I had when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, and that was when I poured a drink and put it in front of somebody, and they took a sip out of it and said, "That's pretty good." I said, "Well, now I think I might be able to be good at something." And this couldn't have happened at a better time because myself, I already flunked out of one community college, heading towards flunking out of another, and the it just gave me a good feeling that, whoa, maybe I could be good at something. And this is after being, reasonably decent athlete, reasonably popular guy as a high school kid, kinda, and had friends and all that. But it came at the right time for me.
That's cool. Was it in the last month I've watched this one anime and it's called Bartender the Glass of God. And it's about this guy that's a bartender, but he's so good at being a bartender, he can fix everybody's problems with one drink. Um Obviously that's not how life works. But
No.
if there was like one drink that you think that would fix many problems, and the idea is like it's just the whole point is that he just understands them. He's just talking to him while he's building this drink. But is there that one drink you think that is the magical fixer of all things?
All right, you're not gonna like the answer.
Okay,
It's
so it's
water.
water. Yep.
Water.
No. It makes sense. Because why would you say water?
Well, it's the elixir of life. It's
Nice.
breathing and water. Right?
Yeah.
Two of the most fundamentals. And interesting thing. So again, I told you how old I was, and for your audience sake, I'm be 66 next month.
Nice.
And I grew up in a kind of an Irish Catholic household, and I don't know if you're familiar with any of that down in Texas, but
I am. I'm actually Irish myself.
okay, so this is that you probably get a little sense. I know I've got some years on you, but things that I saw my parents do:
Yeah.
drink water and exercise. I drink this guy is filled up at least 8 times a day, and there's one day a week that goes by where I'm not exercising.
Hmm.
So it's like things have changed. And I remember vividly doing doubles. My guess is in your size, you probably played a little football.
Yeah.
You
I did.
remember the double sessions in the summers. Well, I don't know where it came from down there for you guys,
Yeah.
but
Double
there
sessions in the
was
summer.
there was no water. And
Okay.
if you remember the line from, I think it was, oh my God, Denzel Washington. Remember the Titans.
Huh? Well, good movie.
Water is for wussies or something like that. I forget exactly what the line. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't. I'm not great at movie references, but
You're fine.
but yeah, that was the way it was. You got a drink after you were done. Think about that today.
Yeah.
We, I,
No.
yeah.
When I was playing, you definitely had to drink. There were definitely water breaks, especially in Texas, because it's like 100. If there weren't water breaks, there'd be lots of dead football players.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, I tell you, it's not certainly not Texas, but August in the Boston area
It'd be hot.
is the dog days of summer, and it can
Oh.
be awful humid and hot, and not like not like the time I was down in your area, San Antonio, walking the River Walk.
Uh-huh.
and just sweltering the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a different kind of heat because of the humidity and
Right.
things. And it's like I always laugh when somebody's like, "Oh yeah, it's really hot summer. It's an 89 degrees." I'm like, "You stink." I
Yeah,
wish.
exactly.
I wish it was. I wish like was it? I was driving through Austin last week and it was like 110 at some point, and I was like,
Last
"Yeah,
week,
yeah,
October.
yeah." I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know how it's 110 degrees. I don't. Now, the only good thing about where I'm at the festival is that it's a very shaded place and we have a tent. So I'm actually spoiled in that not until I walk away from the tent do I realize how hot it has been all day.
Right.
And so, all right, now, are there any funny references for being in a bar in general? Being working as a bartender, any funny? Again, I'm trying to grab information for a rap song. So, uh, any
Well,
funny?
there's certainly lots of shenanigans that go on that you
Uh-huh.
that you listen to when you're behind the bar. There's certainly shenanigans that go on between the bartenders or the wait staff or whatnot, just amusing ourselves all day, all night. A couple of things that come to mind is certain back in the day before there was, before everything, 85% of all the transactions now are done by a debit card or credit card.
Sure.
So the cash thing is gone. So we used to have what they called these national cash register NCR 1900s, and
Uh-huh.
all they were was just you couldn't even add on them. So we added in our heads what the drinks were. So, and
Wow.
some of us, if you were good enough, added them as you were pouring them. So you added them up as you're doing. You told the cocktail waitress that's, of course, back then 5 drinks might cost you $18. That's
Yeah, not
changed,
anymore. $75
right?
now.
So, so, but anyway, so these registers, you'd hit it and the drawer would come firing out because it was all cash, right?
Yeah.
So one of the simple things, one of the pranks would be while that bartender is serving the customer and is turn before he or she turns back to ring the register, somebody slips in behind him and puts a little cup of water in front of the
Oh,
the change drawer.
that's
So,
rough. That's pretty good. That's a good.
and then
That's a good one.
so those are goofy things like that we did. The banter that you would hear from people. This one thing comes to mind. A friend of mine, a woman friend of mine, not a girlfriend. She was just a woman that
Sure.
I knew, and she
Understandable.
came in to visit me,
I
and it was
hope that
pretty
your bar.
busy.
I hope your girlfriend didn't always come visit you while you were bartending. That feels like that would be a very not a fun situation.
Well, my wife was a food waitress there, so at the
Oh well,
time,
then there you go.
and yes, I did have a girlfriend was a cocktail waitress before,
Okay.
but yeah, but anyways, the so you could listen in. I mean, you just have to, you hear it. And I
Hmm.
remember she goes, this guy, he's trying to put as we would call it up here in the Northeast, the moves on her,
Sure.
right? And so so he says, so what brings you here? She goes, oh, I'm a friend of Neil's and just came in to see him and have a drink and whatnot. How about you? Well, I'm just here to find that someone special. Gag, gag, gag.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then there were like comedians. I mean, this guy Angus McKay. So I was 23 years old. The
Sure.
place I'm telling you about now is a place in downtown Boston called Tia's, and
All right.
Tia's is one of the busiest places, and I think it still is. I know it's lost a little of its shine because a
Yeah.
whole nother section of town opened up, and people now gravitate to the new section, right?
Okay.
But so I was 20. Most of us were in our early to mid 20s. And then you had a couple of folks that were in their 30s, maybe 33, 35, somewhere in there. But they seemed like they were ancient to a 23-year-old, right? Angus was hilarious. And he would kind of like, he would rove behind the bar, serving random people while I was working in the service station, plus serving people on the bar, plus serving people outside. It was just crazy. So this young woman comes up to the bar, and she is stunning. Short black hair, my guess it was in style at that time.
Sure.
Beautiful, vibrant blue eyes. And she starts approaching. And you can almost hear the horns and the,
Yep.
and that that kind of fog or that comes along and blowing the hair back, that routine. And meanwhile, Angus all of a sudden is over my shoulder. Right. So the girl comes up. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Boston dialects, and
I know a little bit.
you're probably sensing a little bit of a
I
drop.
have a few Boston friends that
Yeah.
were been there their whole lives and they moved here in their 60s. So I have a few Boston dialect friends. So I know a little bit.
So I've been here in New Hampshire for 34 years. So I've lost some of it, but the drop our shows up, pal, bro, dude, right?
Yep.
And
I heard
all
of the
that
bro,
stuff comes
dude.
up,
Yeah.
right? So anyway, so the girl comes walking up to the bar, this vision, and then she opened her mouth. Do you guys have Budweisers? Yeah. How about schnapps? You have schnapps? I said, no, well, we've got Miller Lite, Heineken, and Bass Ale. And that is exactly what we had. And I'll tell you how long ago this was. Miller and Miller Lite were $1.30, and Heineken and Bass Ale were $1.60.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I said, no, that's what we have for beer. And then also, yes, we do have schnapps. What about me? So about this time, Angus has had enough of her, and he just looks at, now again, different dialects: South Boston, Dorchester, Jamaica Plain, all the different areas of. Well, the real strong ones are Dorchester and in South Boston, in my view.
Okay.
And he just looked. He goes, "Somebody's from Dorchester," and walks away.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Now back now, we're coming up with ideas for the song, but in general, like, how do you even get to this point to go, I'm going to take the things that I learned behind a bar to actually show how you can be a great salesperson? And like because when I was looking at the book and I was looking at the stuff, I was like, how does that even come to your head? Like, because you were talking about like the idea that even with your college stuff, like you kind of just morphed it into something else. And so I guess the same idea, but what brought the idea of the book?
Well, the book is retrospect, right? So it was something I did during COVID to keep
Sure.
myself from losing my mind, right?
Like everybody else, yeah.
And so so I just started examining all this stuff. And I said, well, one of the things that was the initial aha moment was when my daughter was being honored by the Chamber of Commerce here in Nashua. In the chamber, they've got an award for everything, right?
Yep.
So she was being honest, like, one of the 30 to watch under 30, right? Right. So my daughter has been a pretty high flyer, kind of a dynamo her whole life. And so of course, as good parents, we went, right?
Sure.
Because it was actually right here on campus. We live in a golf community now. We've downsized
Nice.
and all that. And so so the guy who brought Five Guys Burgers to New Hampshire was the keynote speaker.
Oh,
And he
wow.
was a nuts and bolts speaker. I mean, the way I speak when I'm out there, it's very matter of fact. It's very just the way I speak. I don't put on any ears. You're not going to hear any corporate speak or acronyms or any of that stuff. It's not how I talk. I'm not doing it. And that's the way he was. So I really enjoyed him. And he was talking about how he got his team together. And I don't know if you ever worked in hospitality before, but he did. There's a thing called pre-meal where they talk about what's out, what the specials are, if there's a certain wine that was on, it might be on, or what that's on special or whatever it may be, or featured or whatever. And then there's a little bit of a rah-rah speech. So his rah-rah speech was, we're not in the burger business, we're not in the fry business, we're not in the soda business, we're not in the shake business. We're in the hospitality business.
Yep.
And I went just like this. I turned to my wife, and again, as point of context, as I mentioned earlier, we worked in the same place together for a bit. I said, I've never left the bar. I've been bartending on the road for 30 some odd years. And I just thought of it right there. And I said, the principles are the same. The greeting, the importance of being organized, the importance of being on time and time management, what your attitude is, what your aptitude is, what's your ability, what is your, what is your product knowledge? Do you know anything outside that can help your customers? Do you know how to take criticism? Do you know how to solve problems? All those things are done in the confines of a restaurant. In a little bit of a, if you want to call it, and one of my friends does call it this, he tells people that come to work for him, he said, listen, we know this isn't your last stop, especially if they're college kids. They're trying to make some money, while they're in school. Maybe they've got to pay for their books. I don't know. He says, we're going to set you up in business. We're going to give you a territory, and it's going to be a set of tables. And that's going to be your territory. You're going to work your territory, and you're going to work for tips, but we can call it commission. You're going to have a sales job. And he takes them all the way through the process. And so that's how it equates. And that all came to me through conversations with him and other people. He was kind of, this guy, Jamie Tipping, he was kind of a, mentor to me. And I think really was one of the critical people that kind of helped me get on the right track, because I was kind of not, I was at a divergent path. I could have gone this way, or I could have gone that way. Well, I went the right way, and I married the greatest woman on the planet. So
yeah.
So that's the but that's how it all came about. And I just started brain dumping, all the different things. And I interviewed people. I interviewed Jamie. I interviewed Lori Lilly, who owned Tia's at the time, back in the day. Yeah. And what was her philosophy and whatnot. And they all contributed in some form or fashion to the book. And so that's kind of how it all unfolded.
That's cool. Now, is it weird, like, for having a successful marketing company and then going to becoming a writer? Like, is that a weird jump, or do you feel like you always kind of did that stuff anyways?
Well, I mean, we're creative people by nature. We're positive people, and which leads us to being creative. And it was just something that I just did. It was, believe me, when I said, one of my high school Facebook group, I said, how does this guy that I don't think got better than a C in English write a book? Harold Crane, which was a pain in the butt English teacher, would be rolling over in his grave to think that this guy. So it's, but then I also learned what the book can do for me. What it can do for me, it's opened up a number of doors and opportunities to do things that I like this. Yeah. Right. I enjoy this. I mean, I'll talk about this subject all day long, and then it's also opened up our speaking business. And so that's kind of our our last act, I guess. Yeah. In the business world is going to be a combination of we're keeping our promotional business going. It's a robust business and it treats us well. And we've got people that help out now. So it's not as cumbersome and time consuming. So it allows us to do things like this. And, I'm writing a keynote speech that I'm giving at a organization next month. And so I'll be delivering that. And we custom our message to everybody, to the audience that we go and speak to. That's awesome. I've spoken at Berkeley School of Music, number of companies locally, all the Rotary clubs. I do that all the time. So that's kind of what goes on, what we're doing with the whole gig. So it's a calling card more than anything else. It's a calling card.
Well, my best friend, the backup best man at my wedding. He's written a lot of books, and he always says, and he's a speaker, and he says it's really just showing that you're an expert in the place, so then people can actually have you on there. Like, even if you have nothing, if you have no book or anything, you don't really have anything to show that you're an expert. But if you have a book, then it shows that you're an expert at it. And so it's an interesting process how it works.
Yeah, it certainly does. But it's like, I think it's how you present it. I recently saw 4 speakers at a sales meeting I was at, and I took a lot of notes. And I think we don't preach at people. We make suggestions. It's really a truly a mentor role. It's not a should role. You should be doing this. These are the things you should be doing. I mean, we also give people grace. You know, listen, we suggest you do these things. We suggest you put together a plan for 90 days to have an effective positive activity outcome. But you know what? If you miss a day, give yourself some grace. Get back on it the next day. It's the same thing of anything, whether you missed a day of practice of your piano or your vocal or your rap or whatever you do, just get back at it. You know, I've got a recital next month I'm preparing for, and you know, I'm just like, I'm so fly me to the moon out that I barely even want to play it right now. But then tonight I found a little bit different hook to it, or a different presentation of how I'm going to play it and sing it. It's like, all right. So it makes me interested, you know, instead of like abandoning that song and trying to find another one.
Yeah.
So, the whole, so positive activity, just so you know, I mentioned positive activity. It isn't, it's in the book, but we don't really,
talk about it that much.
Well, no, we talk about it a lot. But it isn't part of my guidebook for the book, because it's a whole separate thing, because it's so involved.
Yeah.
But it's about the little ditty that, and you can find that, and your listeners can find that at positiveactivity.net. You can find all about us and the book and all that there. But it's the practice. So we're yoga people and mindful people. So that's why everything's a practice. It's not a perfect, you know. It's a practice of getting your mindset right, so that you're an area of positivity, which leads you to open-minded, divergent thinking, solution providing, creativity. So that's where we usually sit all day, every day. We're in creativity mode, which is solution providing mode. It's not, you know, how am I ever going to get through this? Why can't this happen? It's like, all right, we just got to figure out a way to make it happen, and we'll make it happen. We've got a 33-year-old man with autism, so we've been dealing with that for 30 years. And we do actually the title of my talk next month at his school is Navigating the Special Needs World with Positivity and Creativity.
Yeah.
And then you can be productive. If you can get there, you can be productive. If you can't get there, you get some problems. It's gonna be harder for you. Yeah. But we've got tools that can help people get there. So
that's awesome. It's funny because when we were at the festival, we actually worked with there was my favorite person there was a child with autism, and he was easily the coolest one I had. And my son also is on the spectrum, and so but it's interesting because when I think about this and I think about how I deal with it, well, my cousin is actually like internationally known. He's autism, but he also invented this arm for this kid, and he had a commercial on the Super Bowl a few years ago where he made it. But he told me a long time ago, he was like, don't be afraid to put boundaries, but at the same time realize that this is a thing that just takes work and just time. And this dude is now working on his doctorate. You know what I mean? And so it's just a cool thing to see how these things work. But at the same time, I know what you're saying. It's like if you don't have a plan, it's gonna be way more difficult to get through that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah. So no, it's so cool. Like I just think about like that's cool that you're able to find a second thing or a third thing or a fourth thing. I don't even know what number you're on at this point when it comes to speaking in the book. As I said, I just had somebody on the show a few weeks ago that actually was the first Black woman on the U.S. bobsledding team. And that book writes itself, right? Like it's pretty simple. Like she's like a 9-time world champion powerlifter and was a first Black lady on the
I remember her.
Krista Ford was her name.
I remember of her. I don't. The name is about.
But I literally got to like talk to her, and she's in her 50s. Like 58 now, and she's still powerlifting. Like she still has her thing that she does, and it's just like I'm like, wow, like she's still swole, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But anyways, I say that to say it's just so cool to see people like when you have like a real like a story you can just tell, like that's easy. And then there's those times where, as you were saying, like this thing just kind of comes to you. It's like I'm already doing this thing, and then this thing I used to do, they mesh together. That's pretty cool. And so now you get to talk about this and do
Yeah, I
speeches.
mean, I just did a video on video intro on lifelong learning, right? So I did a whole. So one of the things I'm a YouTube junkie, music for sure, and there's a guy by the name of Rick Beato out there, and he's amazing musician, producer, but really an unassuming guy. He doesn't try to pitch you on anything. He's not selling anything. He's doing it strictly. I mean, he's got 4 million plus followers, so she's
Sure.
getting so whatever the algorithm, he's making money doing that. I don't even know how it works, but he talked about how Einstein said that if you didn't learn science by 30, you'll never figure it out, right? He kind of took exception to that and started listing all the things he did after he was 30, right?
Yep.
So I took I did a little thing on it, and I started when I was 50. I took things when I was 56. Now we could have talked about all the things that we did for special needs education and all that stuff. We did a number of things that were, regionally groundbreaking, I guess
Sure.
you might call
That's
it,
amazing.
right? And so but I wrote them. In my blog post, I wrote that at 56 I rode my first 100-mile bike ride. At 60, I rode my first 150-mile bike ride. At 61, I started I've been singing and kind of playing the piano, kind of singing, kind of playing my piano
Yeah.
all my life, and but never really focused on it. Never really got the nuances and all that. And so at 61, I started taking vocal, or so. I think it was 61. And then at 63, I wrote a book. At 64, I put piano in, and I started playing and singing. And then at 6, and all the while building this positive activity
That's
program
awesome.
that we're ready to, that we're launching to, like I said, I have zero interest in retiring. I mean, it's like I wouldn't even know what I would do. I'm not going to putz around the house. I don't even like busy work around here. Sometimes it sits around and goes, goes. I'll get to that. I'll get to it finally. I mean, actually tonight, waiting for this podcast, I got a lot of stuff cleaned up here.
Nice.
But the whole, and then I did a, so I had done a duet with a woman. Do you know the song by John Bon Jovi and Jennifer Nettle, Says You Can't Go Home?
Sure. Yes.
So I had done it. I had done that with another woman about a month and a half ago, and there was another this woman down in my place in Plymouth, Massachusetts, that I know. She was playing like in late September, and she's a really good singer. And I said, so I sent her. I said, I just did this song. Do you do that one? She goes, yeah. I said, I'd love to do it with you. He says, how about September 28th? I said, okay.
Nice.
So I then, so at the end, after we did it, we pulled it off, and she's very good, and I'm okay. And so I did a quick little interview with her, and I talked about how lifelong learning is a positive activity. Right. So that's where we get our theme of positive activity. Positive activities. What are you doing that's positive today? What are you learning today? Who are you helping today? Are you helping yourself yet? Did you meditate today? Did you exercise? Did you do anything for anybody? Did you buy somebody a cup of coffee? Did you let somebody go in traffic? Simple things. So all the things that we talk about, and then I do a whole thing on, I think this may be your, this part of your hook. It's the little things.
Yeah.
That's the hook on all if you as you were talking to me about it, that's the hook on all this. It's the little things.
Yeah.
It's not you can be impressed with the big car, and you be impressed with the big house. I'm really not impressed by any of that stuff anymore.
Sure.
It's like at this stage of my life, it's like, I've done okay. I don't live on the water. I don't, but I have a nice life. I don't owe anybody a dime, and it's just like, it's great. So you can, part of the shtick, if you will, is not to present us and myself as like this absolute. it's just these are some interesting things.
Yeah.
I found them to be true as a bartender. I saw how they worked as interpersonal skills when you're trying to sell to somebody.
Sure.
And maybe you should try some of these. And maybe you should take what I tell you, add some of your own in, and you have your own little algorithm in today's parlance.
Yeah.
Right. So and that was the one thing I got out of these speakers. I mean, there was one guy that was just off the mark. Sorry, but he did kick the sales meeting off. And I know you're a rapper, and I don't want to disparage what you do, but he had the average age in the place was 50 years old.
Sure.
And he kicked it off with 2 rap songs.
Like playing other people's music?
No, it's all something. He was a rapper, but he had blown his vocal cords, and that was part of his speech. He was talking about his vocal cords and this, that, and the other thing.
Oh, was it DOC?
No, it was Jamar something or other.
Oh, well, there's one. I said my favorite rapper of all time. He got his lyrics cut.
Oh yeah, that can happen with those guys, right?
Well, he was drinking and got in a horrible accident, but he wrote most of Dr. Dre's music and even a few songs. You know, popular music today. He wrote a lot of it, so it's cool. Anyway, sorry.
So the other guys, they were talking about, you know, they gave nice presentations, wrote great books, they looked great, they were sharp guys and all that, but it was like, and now back to me. Here's what I did. I was like, okay, were you the only guy that did that program, or did you have $100 million budget and a team of 40? I don't know.
Yeah.
You tell me, you know? So so it was just an interesting. So I don't know. I think I like, you know, I like to play. Well, there's a woman that wrote a song for Tim McGraw. Her name is Lori McKenna.
Okay.
It's called Humble and Kind. Hold the door, say please, say thank you, don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. You got mountains to climb, but always be humble and kind.
Nice.
So
I think it's important. It's like, it's funny that you mentioned the rap thing and the age, because it's I work with the Children's Music Network, which is out of Boston, and it's like a music network about social change, but for kids, music. And so, but I do a hip hop affinity group for them. And so most of the people that come to my class or come to my monthly meeting are like 60-year-old established children musicians that have been singing to kids their whole lives. But for some reason they want to add rap into their things. And so I'm teaching I was this last weekend, I was sitting there spending time with a 70-year-old man, showing him how to rap. And I was just laughing because I'm just like, this is where my life is. But I appreciate that somebody would be willing to assume another culture into their stuff and, like, you know, and shine that culture, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not just trying to, like, oh, look, I know how to rap now. Like, they want to actually reach out to other people, and that's the thought process. So it's interesting when you're talking about lifelong learning. I literally got to see that. It's like there's this dude in California that I work with, and it's like literally he's like a famous children's musician in California, and he's calling me asking me how to do a rap. And I'm just like, okay, bud, I appreciate your willingness to just not, you know, you're like way more talented than me at so many other levels, but you look at me as the sensei in this situation. It's just weird, but at the same time it's cool, like that he's willing to learn and grow in his thing, you know. And so it also shows humbleness, the willingness to try something that you never wanted to tried before, asking a guy half your age, you know what I mean, to show you how to do it. It's pretty cool. So, all right. So now we're going to talk about the foundation of what you kind of already kind of ran on that a little bit. So we'll just do what we do. But first, you're going to pick a beat. So I have a few options. I want you just to tell me which one you like, and then we'll move on. This is a pretty easy segment, so don't worry about it. Let's see. There it is. And this one I'm actually prepared for this time, which is nice to say for once. As I set things up. Boom. All right. So, all right. I'm gonna give you some names of songs. You just decide which one you like, and we'll press play. So we got Crystal Castles. How's that sound? Hedge. Black Lupin. Did any of those sound good to you?
Hedge.
Hedge. All right, here comes Hedge. I'm going to turn it down. Takes a little second to prep, or nice little piano piece there.
I don't hear it. If I'm
Oh, you don't hear
to-
us?
No.
Oh, there you go. Already causing problems. Make a beat. Oh, I'm all like, I hear it. It's awesome. Now you hear it, right?
Perfect.
Oh, we got another option. Let's see here.
No, I like the piano.
Yeah, no, that one, I was laughing because when I didn't even know it was on this one. And so right when I heard it, I was like, oh, I think this is probably going to be the one. I'm going to pick this one. Here's another option.
That's number 2.
That's number 2, yep. So, and then here's number 3. We already know our choice. I don't even know why I'm looking at other ones at this point. Here you go. Soul Back is the third one.
Dude, that's me.
This is it right here?
Yeah. That's a rap back. That's a rap backing.
In a second, you'll hear it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we have it. Let me see what it is.
It's kind of Motown-esque.
Yeah, well, he's very my buddy Joe November, who would let me use all these beats. He's very old school Motown-y.
Oh yeah.
He also likes to do Japanese anime stuff, but I didn't show you that because I wasn't sure I was going to work out. So, but this, he has a really good, real good amount of songs. I can't believe he lets me use these, but I appreciate it because it sounds awesome. All right, so other than what you've shared so far about the book and about everything, like what is the foundation of everything you do? Especially like you're talking about, like the things you've done in your life. You've done a lot of things, but why is it that you do it that way?
Well, in the end, it's everything that we talk about, everything that's in that book, everything that's in, well, not so much everything in the positive activity program, but you can assign a old adage to every one of the chapters. But the overarching old adage, I guess the foundation, if you will, is the golden rule. Do unto others.
Yeah.
So you sit there. So I sit here, whenever we do anything, and hang on one second. This
Yeah, no
actually,
problem.
this actually could be pretty cool. So I wrote this. So this is my credo, right?
Okay.
In my journey, I've come to understand that true success, lasting success, cannot be founded on anything less than integrity and fairness. I commit to entering only into those ventures that bring benefit to everyone involved. Success will come my way because by drawing towards me the energies I need and the collaboration of others. I will inspire others to join and support my endeavors through my own dedication to serving them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's
I think it's interesting. Well, and I also think that has a lot to do with, like, it's funny because even it draws back to the idea of being a bartender, right? Because it's like you have two choices, right? You can be somebody that cares about people or somebody that doesn't care about people, right? You have those two choices, like there. And it's like if you're willing to care about people. Now I understand the point that you can't be like worry about every single thing, every single person, every single spot. but you can treat the people around you with respect. And it's like when I do these festivals and stuff, like I always tell people, it's like the way that you're like, how can you meet all these cool people? Honestly, I just chill. Like I met, oh yeah, I'll tell you, I hung out with Barry Mandelow's bus driver. um, just randomly was in the snack thing. We were talking, and he does his, when he goes to Vegas for his little yearly thing, that dude drives him around. And but I was just sitting there talking to him. But the reason is I didn't come up to him and go like, oh, do you drive famous people? No, it was like, hey, that looks like a good cheesecake. Is it good? And he's like, yeah. And then I just respect people. Like I just want to treat people nice. And if I end up meeting somebody insane, cool. I always laugh at these things where they'll be like, oh, you just met a dude that won a Grammy and you just hung out with him and talked about making spaghetti. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know who he was. I just wanted to talk about making spaghetti.
It's so yeah. I mean, that's what we talk. It's part of what we talk about in the importance of a proper greeting. It's how do you get to? And my guess is, and I think you are, I'm noticing you're a very good listener. People want to be heard. So if this guy's got a philosophy on spaghetti, and you're all ears and how they makes it, and you're sitting there and you're listening to, you nodding your head, and you're letting them go. And then when there's a break in the action, you say, yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing. Let me tell you my process. You know, this is so it's a yes and situation. It's not a yeah, but, right? And you didn't talk over him. You didn't interrupt him. You didn't you didn't one better him. You said, oh yeah, that's really cool. And have you ever thought about this? Maybe you put this in your sauce, or you make your meatballs with 3/4, half of it's break. I don't know. I don't make meatballs, but whatever.
You were getting
whatever.
real close to an actual recipe. You're doing a good job.
Right. So it's so yeah. I mean, that was the fun about being a bartender. The problem is because most of the places I worked at were very busy. So unless you were, and I never worked days. So the busy, the busy, the top guys and gals worked at nights when it was busy, and I was blessed with quick hands and whatnot. So, but the fun was when you occasionally worked a Saturday afternoon, you covered a shift for somebody, and you got to chat with them.
Yeah.
What are you doing in town? What's going on? Hey, have you thought about going over here? And that was what we call peripheral knowledge. When you tell them something that they may not have known. That that the Red Sox are in town. Did you know you could go to Fenway Park and get a tour? No. All right. It's a great time. You get out in the Green Monster, you'll see the whole place. It's wonderful. About an hour long, great time. Whatever it is, you just give them give them a little tip, and you make their day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're going to make their day because when they walk in that place. I don't know if you've ever been to Fenway Park, but if you walk up those stairs and you see that Green Monster, and you see that beautiful green lawn, it's like, it's. So.
Yeah, I'm a big baseball fan, so I would love to go one day to Boston, and see the Green Monster. That'd be cool. It was like I was in Chicago for like a weekend 2 weeks ago, and I definitely wanted an excuse to go watch to Wrigley Field, but I had no time to do it. I was like, oh man, I had a chance, but one day I still got a little time. I hope, and so it'll work itself out. But it's funny because that my only real reference to bartending at this point is a Japanese animation cartoon. And that dude definitely is never busy. He works at a speakeasy where he gets one customer a night. And so he has all the time in the world to come up with a custom perfect drink for them. And if there's another customer in the room, that's meant for the storyline that they're going to talk or something, or meet each other for the first time. So it always makes me laugh because that's definitely not how a real bar works. But for this cartoon, it was very nice. It was like, oh, he's so he's all focused on changing people's lives. And anyways, so it just made me laugh. But that's cool. And so that's that. So that's amazing. That's the foundation. Now, the last thing we need to do for a song is have a hook. So, any ideas for the hook? You already said. The little things, right?
It's the little things. So here's a little. Maybe you can interweave this into it too. Okay. So Jim Rohn, who's a he's an entrepreneur, motivational speaker. He mentored Tony Robbins.
Okay.
So Tony Robbins, I believe, used to sell Jim Rohn's programs before he got on his own gig, right?
Uh-huh.
So Jim Rohn had a thing about success, and he said success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequences of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. Now, also known as what? The little things.
Yeah.
Right?
That's cool.
Kindness, organization, proper greetings, lead success, achievement, performance. Yeah. It's all
awesome.
all added up. What do they say? I mean, okay, so my guess is you were a lineman, maybe a linebacker.
I was a linebacker and a lineman. Yeah.
Okay.
I played.
You guys made the holes for guys like us.
Yeah.
Right. That's where it starts. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you make them, quick guys like us can make a move on somebody once they get through the line, great. But if you haven't made that first block, right, that's so it's the blocking and the tackling of life.
And I was a very fast lineman, so it worked good.
Pulling guard?
Yeah, I was a pulling guard. And I ran a 4.840.
Oh wow, you were fast.
Yeah. But the guy that ran behind me, he ran a 4.4, so it wasn't fast enough.
No.
So he was super fast. He actually, I think he was a national. I think that year he won a track record, for Pflugerville, where we're from. So, anyways, but yeah, that's cool. And so, with the hook, like, what is it that what do you want people to remember about us talking today, about your book, about all the things that you do? What is it? What's the one thing you want them to remember about all that? And also, how can they find your stuff? You already kind of mentioned the website and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing I think if we're leaving anybody with one thought is remain positive.
Well,
yeah. You hear the song, always look on the bright side of the light, all that, it just, and these things have been going on, when I talk about Rohn, right? So like Rohn did this first, right?
Sure.
Well, he probably read Dale Carnegie in 1930, from 1930, probably. Or Napoleon Hill, right? And of course they invented it. No, there was a woman, Frances Scoville Shin, that wrote a book, I think it was 1929. And prior to her, there was Charles Handel. But have you ever heard of Stoicism?
Yes.
That goes back to 300.
Yeah.
It's like, this stuff has been going on forever.
Yeah.
And it's the secret. It's the law of attraction. So it's so many things that just, to stay on the positive track. And because remember we said earlier, if you're in positivity, you are an open-minded solution providing creativity.
Wow. Yeah.
So there you go.
That's amazing.
That's how we should wrap it up.
Yeah. And where can everybody find your book? Where everybody can find your
So it's on Amazon, but the best thing to do, I always like to send them to the website because sometimes finding stuff on Amazon isn't the easiest. And there's a link right to it on positiveactivity.net. And they can also see other things that we do and see our programs, and maybe we come and speak at their sales meeting.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. As I said, so cool to be able to talk to you and just hear the things that motivated you to do that. And I hope this will be a funny song, or at least entertaining song. We'll see how good at listening I am with this, and how much my voice. Remember, I did just come from recording over 200 songs, so my voice is a little crack-a-lacking. But
I know from where you sit.
So let me let me turn off this so I can make sure I sound fresh and so sweet. Boom. Excuse me. And all right. Any last things that you'd like me to add to the song that we didn't talk about, but you think would be funny, or you think it would be an entertaining add to this song? Anything?
I think we're ready to fly.
All right. Well, let's do this, Captain Fancy. You obviously want to hear that intro again because you loved it. So we'll start with the intro, and then here we go. Oh, I haven't done one of these once. So it's time to make a rap.
So many days, so many nights. You could be afraid of a dream, but the dream ain't right. If you ain't going forward, moving so fast, you gotta exhale, breathe, understand that I don't even get it if it's all the same. But my whole life was a dream when I was. It's like talking to me, stop and go. It was positive activity, no capital. What right? And then he kept on going, and then he was saying, you know,
There you go.
Dude, I couldn't hear it all that well,
Oh no.
but you're something.
Was the beat too loud?
You might not have been swallowing the mic enough. I'm not sure.
Oh man, that makes me mad. Well, but it was okay.
Oh, I thought. I mean, what I heard. I mean, you were rolling.
I moved the mic down, and I hate when I do that because I saw it getting red, and I thought I don't want to mess it up. So, but yeah, no, it was good. I said, it's so funny to be able to take things that you learn and put it into a rap song, and so it's fun how it works. But now I'm mad because I'm going to go back and listen to it, and it's going to be jacked, and that makes me frustrated. So the joys of not having your own sound, man.
Are you going to send that to me, or can you?
Yeah, well, what I'll do is I'll re-record it.
Okay.
In our studio and send one to you so you can have it.
Oh, that'd be great.
But now you're going to make me do this real quick. Here it goes real quick, just because I want to, and just because that frustrates me. So, but I'll give you a quick introverted version of this where I should sound awesome, and this won't be a problem. And here we go. Or maybe I was wrong. Oh, here we go. It's those little things all together. I still can't run away from it. I knew sometimes we grow and still I got to say it. See, we talked about it and how we got to change and how we didn't stop moving forward. Positive activity, he had to make it see. Doing like it did it all. Neil had to run because he always had the ball. Made it all together like a line one, like I'd be trying to get to that hole so people could ever let it see. But now you know these things from the bar that you sow can help you say those things that you still don't know. So just grow, don't be afraid to let them go. You see what you was doing and the words you didn't know. Hey, it's those little things, that's the end of this. I rearrange and I make it all together spit. And everybody knows that it's gone to time. I know we rip, cause we gotta rock around. There's a little version of it just because I wanted you to at least kind of hear it. So
well done.
Yeah, no problem. I had all kinds of fun bits in it, but I've done that before where I had a friend and the best song I ever did, and then the mic was whack the whole time. I was like, come on. But thank you so much, Neil, for spending time with me.
Jason, great time, man.
Thanks for talking to me about about positive activity, talking about the book. And just in general, just to hear about your life and hear about the things that motivate you, that's encouraging to me as somebody that's still trying to grow and not stop growing. Like it's so easy to be in a step where you're like, am I where I need to be now? And it's not approval of mine because I just got back into rap music like 5 years ago when I had stopped. And now I'm here doing it for kid stuff. It's like, okay, I didn't expect this to be happening. But it's amazing. So, again, I'm excited. I hope everybody goes to your website, Positive Activity. I can rap all those words, but I cannot say your website. Positive Activity. I can't do it. Why don't you say it for me?
Positiveactivity.net.
There it is. But anyways, man, I hope you have an awesome night. Thank you again for spending time with me. Hey guys, if you're looking for a new website, make sure you go to nomadweb.net. They do a great job. Oh, sorry, that's not right. Nomadweb. Oh man, I don't even know. Well, he won't be mad at me. I'll figure it out next week. See y'all like and subscribe to the show. We'd love to see you on our YouTube and check us out. You'll see all the stuff we've been doing this weekend, all that stuff on the Instagram. We just really appreciate everybody listening. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or wherever you listen to a podcast, come check us out on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. CST on YouTube and on Twitch and on Facebook, where you can watch it live and be able to be a part of the conversation. Thank you again, Neil. And I hope you have a great night. Stay on the line after I close the stream, just so I can say bye. So, but there you go. See you later, guys, and peace. Flows for you, flows for you. This is what we do now. This is what we do.
Are you looking for a different kind of podcast? How about informative and clean? It will make you laugh. Scout and Trey, yeah, that's what we do. We got a little funny thing, keeping it true. Hey, we take your topics and all your ideas and bring in a guest and we answer them there. Then we make a freestyle rap and do it for you. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, that's what we do. Yep, flows for you, flows for you. This is what we do now. This is what we do. Say it flows for you, flows for you. This is what we do now. This is what we do. Say it flows for you, flows for you. This is what we do now. This is what we do. Say it flows for you, flows for you.